Tanjiro Kamadu, a determined young boy, races through the blood-stained snow, his heart heavy with the urgency to save his younger sister, Nezuko. The biting cold air stings his lungs, making it difficult to breathe, but he pushes forward, knowing that reaching the town is their only hope. Tanjiro desperately seeks a doctor who can help his sister. But how did their world turn so dark? His thoughts drift back to the day before, a bitterly cold day that forced him to leave the comfort of his home. After their father's passing, Tanjiro became the sole provider for his family. Determined to ensure they had a plentiful new year, he ventured out to sell charcoal. As he bid farewell to everyone, the last person he embraced was his beloved sister, Nezuko. In the town, Tanjiro's warm and compassionate nature quickly earns him a reputation. Not only does he sell all his charcoal, but he also assists a poor house assistant falsely accused of breaking a plate, using his keen sense of smell to identify that a cat was responsible. The townspeople appreciate his help, and night falls rapidly. Mr. Saburo, an elderly man who has lost his family and lives alone, invites Tanjiro to stay at his house until morning. He warns Tanjiro about man-eating demons that emerge at night and insists he avoids wandering after dark. Grateful for the hospitality, Tanjiro accepts the offer, and as he drifts to sleep, he and Mr. Saburo discuss demons and demon slayers. Early the next morning, Tanjiro bids farewell to Mr. Saburo and begins his journey back home. But as he nears his house, he catches a pungent whiff of blood on the wind. Panic rises within him, and he rushes forward, only to discover a horrifying scene. His family lies lifeless, covered in blood, and Nezuko and Rokuta, also stained with crimson. Amidst the tragedy, Nezuko's body emanates warmth. Tanjiro's mind races as he tries to comprehend the events of a single day. He notices that Nezuko, in a disturbing turn of events, is starting to transform into a demon. Confusion and despair grip him, struggling to reconcile the fact that Nezuko, born human, could have caused such devastation. Overwhelmed with guilt for being absent the night his family suffered, Tanjiro struggles to control Nezuko, who becomes increasingly violent. However, her tears reveal a glimmer of her true self, lost within the darkness. Suddenly, a demon slayer named Gyo Tomioka appears and launches an attack on both Tanjiro and Nezuko. Tanjiro valiantly defends his sister, refusing to let her be harmed. The two clash, their ideologies at odds. Tanjiro reveals his suspicions about an unfamiliar scent in his house, certain that someone else was responsible for his family's massacre. He implores Gyo to spare Nezuko, his unwavering determination and love for his sister shining through his words. Gyo harshly criticizes Tanjiro, questioning how he could hope to find a cure for Nezuko when he himself appears so weak and desperate. He strikes Tanjiro's wounded heart by implying that his family's demise was a result of his own feebleness. As Gyo prepares to strike Nezuko with his sword, Tanjiro's desperation reaches its peak. He hurls a stone at Gyo, distracting him momentarily. Seizing the opportunity, Tanjiro begins circling the trees, throwing stones and executing feints, as if wielding an axe. Gyo initially dismisses Tanjiro's emotional assault as foolish and predictable, but he soon realizes the depth of Tanjiro's plan and skill. In the midst of their clash, Nezuko breaks free from her restraints and rushes to Tanjiro's side, concerned for her brother's well-being. Witnessing their unyielding bond and their extraordinary potential, Gyo is left with a newfound respect for the siblings. Sensing something special within them, he takes swift action to protect Tanjiro and Nezuko from harm. Regaining his senses, Tanjiro learns from Gyo that he must seek out an old man named Sakonji Urokodaki, who resides at the foot of Mountain Sajiri. Gyo imparts essential advice to protect Nezuko from the sunlight, vanishing into the snow haze, leaving the siblings to bury their fallen family members. With heavy hearts and newfound determination, Tanjiro and Nezuko set out on their quest to find Urokodaki, hoping to discover a way to reverse Nezuko's transformation and find solace for their fractured souls. Tanjiro wakes up the next morning to find Nezuko attempting to hide from the sun by digging a hole inside a cave. Determined to protect his sister, Tanjiro sets out to buy bamboo and a straw basket from nearby farmers. Tanjiro insists on paying for it, and ingeniously makes it suitable for carrying Nezuko during the daylight hours. On their journey to Mountain Sagiri, Tanjiro seeks directions and is warned to be cautious, as many people have recently gone missing. Along the way, they come across a temple with the lights switched on. Sensing the scent of blood, Tanjiro rushes inside, believing someone is in need of help. To his horror, he discovers a demon devouring a family. The demon warns Tanjiro to stay away, declaring it as his territory, and launches an attack. Unable to contain her emotions at the sight of blood and human flesh, Nezuko joins the fray and kicks the demon's head, saving Tanjiro. However, the demon retaliates, and Tanjiro, in an attempt to protect Nezuko, attacks with his axe. To his surprise, the demon's hair holds the axe firmly, leaving Tanjiro defenseless. In a desperate move, Tanjiro throws his axe onto a tree and rushes to Nezuko's aid. At the edge of a cliff, Tanjiro witnesses the demon mercilessly beating Nezuko, prompting him to throw himself at the demon. However, Nezuko intervenes, saving Tanjiro from a tragic fall. Returning to the demon's severed head, Tanjiro hesitates to deliver the final blow. A figure wearing a goblin mask appears behind him, noting Tanjiro's compassion and indecisiveness. The rising sun interrupts their encounter, causing the demon to melt away. Tanjiro suddenly realizes the danger the sun poses to Nezuko and frantically searches for her. Eventually, he discovers her safely hidden inside the basket. Tanjiro arrives at a house where an old man is burying the victims of demon attacks. The man introduces himself as Sakonji Urokodaki and chastises Tanjiro for his weak resolve, questioning what he would do if Nezuko were to hunt humans. Urokodaki decides to put Tanjiro to the test to determine his worthiness. He instructs Tanjiro to carry his sister and follow him. Urokodaki's speed is extraordinary, and Tanjiro struggles to keep up. While trailing behind, Tanjiro makes a promise to Nezuko, vowing to do everything in his power to turn her back into a human and fulfill the dreams they couldn't achieve with their other family members. They eventually reach a house near Mount Sagiri, where Nezuko is placed for safekeeping, and the true training begins. Urokodaki takes Tanjiro to a hill and challenges him to make it back to the house before daybreak. Confident in his sense of smell, Tanjiro begins to follow Urokodaki's scent. However, he soon realizes it's not as easy as he thought. The path is riddled with hazardous traps and obstacles, and the thin air makes breathing difficult. Despite these challenges, Tanjiro perseveres, overcoming each pitfall and trap along the way. Upon Tanjiro's successful return, Urokodaki recalls a letter from Gyo Tomioka, mentioning Tanjiro and Nezuko. Sensing something unique about the siblings, Urokodaki decides to train Tanjiro as a demon slayer, recognizing the boy's determination and potential. With his training under Urokodaki started, Tanjiro diligently writes in his journal, documenting his journey and progress for Nezuko. Each day, he focuses on surviving and preparing for the final selection process on Mt. Fuji Kasane, which will determine if he is deemed worthy to join the Demon Slayer Corps. As the days pass, Tanjiro's training becomes increasingly challenging. Urokodaki pushes him to his limits, instilling in him the importance of discipline and the mastery of swordsmanship. Tanjiro's sense of smell improves, and he gains strength and endurance through rigorous physical training. Months go by, and Nezuko remains in a deep slumber, causing Tanjiro great concern. Despite summoning a doctor, no answers are found, leaving Tanjiro worried that he may one day wake up to find his sister dead. Nevertheless, he perseveres, driven by his determination to save her. After a year of intense training, Urokodaki declares that the time has come for Tanjiro's final test before the selection process. He instructs Tanjiro to slice an immense boulder, and then leaves him to his own devices. From that day forward, Urokodaki ceases his teachings, leaving Tanjiro to rely solely on his journal and his own efforts. For the next 6 months, Tanjiro trains diligently, striving to make a dent in the formidable boulder. However, despite his efforts, he cannot achieve his goal. Filled with despair, Tanjiro is visited by another swordsman, Sabito, whose scent he cannot detect. Sabito attacks Tanjiro, pointing out his mistakes and insulting him for his lack of progress. Tanjiro is beaten mercilessly and left alone. When Tanjiro regains consciousness, he finds himself in the presence of Makomo, who reveals that Sabito is her brother. Makomo helps Tanjiro understand and correct his shortcomings, assisting him in shedding bad habits and movements he had adopted during his training. Though Tanjiro inquiries about their whereabouts, Makomo refuses to disclose any information, explaining that she and Sabito are orphans who were taken in and trained by Urokodaki. They both hold deep affection for their master. For the next 6 months, Tanjiro continues his training with Makomo. One day, he challenges Sabito once more, and in a sudden burst of determination, Tanjiro strikes, his blade hitting Sabito's mask. To his surprise, as Sabito smiles, an expression of relief crosses his face. Makomo and Sabito commend Tanjiro for his success, but before Tanjiro can celebrate, they disappear in a haze. It dawns on him that he didn't strike Sabito's mask. It was the boulder he had managed to cut through. Share your thoughts on this video, and I'll see you at the next one.